I'd like to welcome you to LaSalle University's ISBT program, that's Integrated Science, Business, and Technology. I'm excited to have this opportunity to talk with you about your choice and career path. ISBT's multidisciplinary approach to learning will enable you to focus on your strengths through our three concentrations, that's biotechnology, information and knowledge management, and energy and natural resources. If you'd like to learn more about ISBT, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to call me or email me. I think in ISBT a student will find that they will be part of a process. They will understand how to get from part A to part B. What does it take? What do I need to know? What do I need to learn? Who can help me? How to work in a team and how to form that team to get from point A to point B, and how to manage the whole thing so it comes in on time, it's completed to everyone's satisfaction. An ISBT student will know how to do that and will have done that many, many times.
When they walk in on the very first day of classes, they're probably given 3 or 4 rules, one of which is there's no right or wrong answer. If there's a problem, you have to solve it, and you can do it.
The way we look at things is systematically, and if I can draw a picture, we have the S over here and the B in the middle and the T over here. And all of our students, even from the beginning of the courses, their first course, their first semester here, is we look at a process contained inside a box, and then we look at the inputs into it and the results out of it.
ISBT students are more prepared to go into, say, a pharmaceutical concern and be put in charge of a particular project, understand the science that's going on in that project, but go the next step and be able to understand the costs that are involved in running that project, knowing that it has to come in on time and on budget, and being able to manage that. And I think that's what the ISBT program gives those students, an understanding of managing a project in all that means in terms of time and in money.
We chose the 3 concentration areas mainly because of where we live. We sit smack in the middle of a very large pharmaceutical biotechnology industry strip. There were several panels within the city looking for ways to increase the number of students graduating as knowledge workers. From that came our information and knowledge management concentration. And then we consulted with our advisory board. 3 seemed to be a magic number, and we wanted 3 concentrations, and pretty much unanimously they thought that energy and natural resources was a good fit for the Philadelphia area.
Now that I'm a professor, I have the same goals for my students pretty much that I had for myself, that I feel that I got out of the program in my 4 years. I just hope that the students have a really good understanding of systems and understand the importance and how basically everything is a system and how everything fits into what we're doing. It's pretty hard to give the students, when they're freshmen and sophomores, a picture of the whole and to really understand what we're doing at that time, because quite honestly, at first it seems a little disjointed, but looking back, you can see the picture as a whole system, and you just, at that point, I want them to have the confidence that I have now that I'm out of the program, that you can look at any challenge and you can deal with it no matter what it is. If there's an answer, given the right time and resources, as an ISBT graduate, you can find it.
The kind of student that we would like to see in ISBT, and I think the kind of student who would be happy in ISBT, is one who likes science, probably has never considered science as a career, but has always liked it and done well in it, but particularly a student who likes to solve problems and to understand that there's not one answer, that we can all figure something out and come up with a different way of doing it, but we can all end up with something that works. Students who get along well with other students, because we spend a lot of time working in groups, and you need to enjoy working with other people. A sense of adventure, because ISBT's evolving. ISBT can be pretty much whatever a student wants it to be. They find the problems, and then we spend time learning what we need to know to solve them.
The way we look at things is systematically, and if I can draw a picture, we have the S over here and the B in the middle and the T over here. And all of our students, even from the beginning of the courses, their first course, their first semester here, is we look at a process contained inside a box, and then we look at the inputs into it and the results out of it, and the output on the other side. And the science we consider as input to any process, scientific discoveries and the like, and technology as being the output of these scientific discoveries, and what connects the two is the business processes in between. So we study all aspects of converting raw scientific discoveries into technological products and services using traditional business practices.
I would definitely invite any prospective students that are interested in a career in science, but wanting to go beyond the science, wanting to have understand how the technology impacts science now and in the future, and then to understand how that science is controlled. How do you run the project? How do you run the research project? Being the liaison between the people working on that project and the upper management who's trying to plan the future of the company, and that the ISBT graduate is right in the middle of that.
If you have any questions or interest or want to find out more information about our products or our courses, just go to our website. We have our email contact information on there. We're all on Instant Messenger. You can IM us and or give us a phone call. We'd be happy to talk to you.
There's lots of opportunity for people who are interested in working in the biotech field, in all aspects of the biotech field. Not necessarily just research and development, but in the manufacture, the quality control, the regulatory affairs, and all the things that it takes to take a biotech product to go from concept all the way through to market. When we were looking at the concentrations, we actually cited some federal survey of what are the rapidly growing businesses or industries in the United States for which there's going to be need, and biotech was clearly one of them. In this particular region of the country, biotech is also huge. I mean, we are within 90 miles of apparently 75% of all of the pharmaceutical companies in the world. So lots and lots of biotech is expanding in this region. Biotech is rapidly growing. It's an industry that starts off small, lots of small shops where products come out of, and then are absorbed by the larger companies, the pharmaceutical companies, who have the big dollars to do a lot of the sales and marketing.
ISBT students learn how to apply the biological methods, not just master the theories. You're able to take what you learn in the classroom and apply it to your everyday work.
One of the things I tell the students often is that one of the most important things you can get out of this course is the language, is speaking the language of the biotech industry, and talking about the specifications, analytical techniques that are used, how process development is done, comes under the category of knowing the business, which is, I think, a crucial part of undergraduate education, and frankly something that a lot of hiring managers look for and don't get in students when they apply for positions coming right out of school, because obviously they don't have the background or the experience that a more experienced candidate would have.
In the biotechnology concentration area, students while they're here, they spend a lot of time in the lab learning lots of techniques that aren't necessarily in traditional biology programs. Many of the students want to go on and work in the lab in research and development areas, and also many students want to go on in things like pharmaceutical sales, more in being able to explain the industry rather than necessarily being in the lab.
Well, my teacher, Dr. Chikowitz in chemistry, he was my advisor, and I was coming to him with a problem because I wanted to also have a minor in business, because I knew that in the real world I wasn't going to want to work in a lab all day, and if I did work in a lab I'd have to have other skills besides working in a lab. And he said, he recommended to talk to Dr. Jones, and he said that it would be a really good idea to get into the ISBT program, and I really, really appreciated that advice, because I mean, I love the science part of it, and that's basically where my passion lies, but it really helps me, and what I've seen in the workforce and like my friends that have gotten co-ops, it really helps to have that background in the business and in the technology especially, because I mean everything nowadays is technology based.
some of the applications that they're working on now that may not be found in other colleges and universities include the use of the primary literature in answering questions about how we do process development, how biotechnology, what specific challenges biotechnology processes face. Usually that exposure to the primary literature is not obtained until graduate school. And some of the things that we work on with the upperclassmen in ISBT include how do we read the primary literature, how do we get information out of it, how do we interpret the data, what is the language that is used, and how can we best use that resource. And that is invaluable for continued learning. I think if a student comes out of a program like ISBT with an understanding of how to learn in the workplace, they become a very valuable asset.
The way the information and knowledge management concentration works is in addition to studying energy and information and materials separately and in concert with each other, we focus specifically on the information side of things. 20 years ago, the way information would be gathered in a production facility or in a laboratory is that manual technicians would take the information and record it in a laboratory notebook or on some sort of form or a sheet. And unless someone actually mentally remembered that, oh, we saw that data a few years ago, that information would be lost. So what's happening now in modern times is that information is being acquired electronically and stored electronically into computer databases. And not only do we have to study how we go about acquiring that by looking at different transducers and different methods for getting the values off the production floor or out of the laboratory, is that we have to not only store it, but retrieve it. Again, the same problem is if it goes into a notebook and no one can find it, or if it goes into a database and no one can find it, then it's not of any use. So in the information knowledge management, we look at the area of discipline which is now being called laboratory informatics, which looks at how individual instruments and processes are hooked up to a network and their data is actually stored in a database.
ISBT students with a concentration in ICAM would be extremely effective in the workforce due to their broad background in everything besides information knowledge management. You have the ability to operate a computer system really well, or a system of multiple computers and network, and at the same time you have broad knowledge in business, marketing, you know a little bit about biology, you know a lot about teamwork and interacting with other people, you know how to network yourself, and you just could really fit into any environment really well and learn how to control it.
So after looking at a course in laboratory informatics, the IKM majors look at a course in collaborative software development. And what that allows them to do is how do we design a large-scale system with lots of actors and lots of programmers. In traditional computer science departments, you're taught how to write your own code and not copy off of anybody else. And then immediately you get your first job and work with a group of 5 or 10 people.
I mean, we do project management, we take classes in marketing. We do a little bit of everything so that we're really prepared for everything. When it comes time to do our concentration, it just reinforces one of those many areas that we're pretty proficient in by that time.
So we look at the skills and the things necessary to actually build a large-scale computer program or a package by working with other people at the same time. After doing that, we actually have to build something. So we start taking the individual values from the databases and the individual values from the instruments and actually start building some of these databases and some of these control programs. We then need to retrieve it, and rather than having one person or a group of people look through mountains of data, we have to do that automatically, and to do that requires some sort of intelligence. So then we take an entire course on intelligent systems and look at the artificial intelligent processes of neural networks and genetic algorithms and swarm programming and the like, and in order to surf these databases of large mountains of data and automatically pull back the values that we need. Very similar to Google searching the web, we produce little applications to search our mountains of data. And then after we look at the actual individual algorithms to do that, we apply that in a final course in ICANN called Knowledge Discovery, where we take a look at mountains of data and actually pull data back and see how we go about using that.
My concentration is energy and natural resource management. Which we learned through this is many industry individuals that have actually worked many years in there and involved and have had many experiences have taught us the different ways in which to problem solve, such as the oil industry and such as all kinds of different things, facets with natural gas. The energy industry is really vital to the survival of this country.
The first thing that we learned in ENR was where we got our energy from, what energies we did have, where our resources came from. We've
done a lot of different testings and things like that to find the different impacts of the environment by the use of the energies, but it's also making the efficiency of it. It's making things cheap and making it more affordable for the economy.
We took a class specifically called Regulatory Affairs, in which they went into great detail about EPA regulations and FDA regulations, and I found that not as many people knew the details of regulations and what things they had to follow and what laws they had to obey when going through specific actions.
The way in which we would probably do it is retaining the natural resources that we already have, using energy, using the natural resources that we have and maybe turning them into energy, but also trying to maintain the stability of the environment at the same time. So that was always important for us to learn about that.
The people that I interviewed with said that that would specifically give me an edge, knowing different regulations.
After 2 years of sort of basic and introductory work and 2 years of courses in an area that they're very interested in and courses outside their area, all students complete a capstone project. It covers 2 semesters of their senior year. It's a project that they design, they come up with, they design. It's a real project. It's not something out of a book. It's not something completely theoretical. They can work with partners. We have one group now of 4, which then they function much like a company would. The projects are meant to tie together what they've spent the last years doing, and they range from a very basic research biotechnology kind of project, mostly lab work, to writing a business plan for businesses that they'd really like to create and set up, and then everything in between.
My capstone project was myself and my partner Joe Gallo, and what we did was build the ISBT, which was an autonomous robot which roamed the halls of our science building here. It had basically 2 motors and a system which turned the motors based on commands that it received from its sonar rangefinder signals on each side.
Me and 2 of my other friends, my classmates, decided that we were going to make this website it's a website database compiled with different possible capstone projects for the 3 concentrations: biotech, energy and natural resources, and information knowledge management. We decided we were going to set out and contact different companies and things like that and find out who was looking for potential students to help them out with certain projects and where we could fit in as capstone projects. So then as soon as we get the feedback from the different companies, we're going to plug them in and put them into the website and develop like a search engine.
And let's say like you think that you want to do something really big, but you don't know if you can finish it in 1 year, let's say. But with the capstone, you can leave like a legacy. You can say like, this is what I want to happen, and you can start it and lay the groundwork, and someone else can come and finish it.
Future students will progress with the ISBT because we did have a lot of lofty plans for it. And while we got it driving a little bit around, we programmed some knowledge into it. We would like for other students to do things like mount a camera on it so that you can see pictures over the web and control it. We had a website up and going which we'd like to see continued and frequently updated. There's just so many things that we wanted to do with the robot that we would love to see future generations of ISBT students take upon themselves and just keep it going.
When the student comes in and next year wants to learn about the capstone project, they go to the one link that says learn about capstone project. What is capstone project? What consists of it? What are your requirements? That way it's all at their fingertips and they don't necessarily have to go out and look for them and hunt for them.
What we've heard from the corporate world is that students often graduate and have technical skills that are very good, but that they don't necessarily have the communication skills or the ability to see where they fit in the big picture. And what we've done is incorporate that into the ISBT major.
One of the biggest problems today in the world is, certainly in biotech, the marketing people are always complaining that the researchers are making something they can't sell, and the researchers are always complaining that the marketing people can't sell what they make. A little bit of good communication between those two departments could alleviate a lot of that stress and, conflict, if you will.
We make sure that we keep the program current and make sure that the skills that the students are gaining mesh with the general workforce. So we designed it from the beginning, but in concert with the local industries that are looking for people to hire. And then we have boards and people who come in and talk with us. We take them out to lunch and talk to them and ask about how we're doing and how we could fit in their corporation. And then we also have formal advisory boards where we actually ask them formally what sort of things and what sort of skills they're looking for, and they give us feedback that way. So we're constantly integrating their answers, and we're constantly tweaking the program to make sure we fit their desires.
In the ISBT program, I took classes in bioinformatics, genetics, entrepreneurship, and high-tech business. I took classes in regulatory affairs, energy and natural resources, environmental issues, knowledge discovery, materials testing. I took classes in all aspects.
It's hard to explain, to tell you the truth, in the beginning. But the thing is that they bring people from the industry into the school. I've had teachers that have had real-world problems and have found solutions to those problems. Thus, they are teaching us to do the same thing. They're helping us to try and find ways to find solutions, troubleshooting, and problem solving in the end.
I know that bio students here at LaSalle, they get to do one lab in tissue culture, and I get to do a whole semester of it. And the funny thing is that last semester, I wasn't in tissue culture, but the ISBT students that were, we all have like our own lab, since it has to be very clean and very sterile. And the bio students that came in to do their one lab, they came in and they just didn't know what they were doing, and they actually contaminated all of the cells that we were working on. And it was just really interesting because that made me think, like, well, wow, like we're going to get to know way more about especially this area than a bio student, and usually like you think like, oh God, no one's going to respect me because I'm not a bio student or I'm not a chem student. And I think like just knowing that in my mind, that I probably do know a lot more things and a lot more specific things than someone, say, in like a general major like that really is comforting being an ISBT.
A recent graduate of a program that's strictly science, say a chemistry graduate, will go into a company and be assigned to a project, but they will just be working on the project and really not have much say in how the project is handled. They're really concerned with just their small science part of it. An ISBT graduate can go in, not only work on that project, but because they're going to be managing the project, they're going to be dealing with the two levels of people, all the people who are working, say, under them on the project, and then the upper level management that they then have to report to, who are telling the ISBT graduate, okay, here's the budget, here's the guidelines, here's the time frame, can you bring this project in on time and under budget? And a straight science grad is just not going to be prepared for that. They're not going to understand the costs involved, where the costs come from, how you can control them, that there are costs beyond just the materials that you're using in whatever it is you're working on, that there's a lot of other overhead costs that just aren't going to be on the radar of someone who's just, I don't want to say just, but someone who's a pure science major.
As an ISBT student, you are prepared for jobs in pharmaceuticals, biopharmaceuticals, scientific research, regulatory affairs, information management, project management, information technology, energy conservation. You are prepared for anything you want to set your mind to.
I think ISBT students could find opportunities to contribute in a range of areas, including analytical tech transfer, working in quality assurance, quality operations, certainly in the manufacturing environment, and pilot plan research and development, supply chain management, areas that exist on the interface of traditional roles, I think, is where you'd find that students, like ISBT students who have an interdisciplinary approach, can make a unique contribution.
ISBT students can receive positions that are anywhere from the beginning of the concept of the product all the way through to its commercialization.
If you have any questions or interest or want to find out more information about our products or our courses, just go to our website. We have our email contact information on there. We're all on Instant Messenger. You can IM us and or give us a phone call. We'd be happy to talk to you.
My life at LaSalle is one of the greatest parts about it. Actually living here and being involved in the different activities that LaSalle has to offer.
Everyone really knows everybody on campus, and it's a very family-oriented campus, and also a very service-oriented campus. And we have fun. We have fun at LaSalle.
As far as campus life at LaSalle, it's really attractive because there's over 100 organizations on this campus. There's really something for everyone at this campus. It's very broad, but it's also very specific. There's some things that touch on but there's also very lighthearted organizations that you could deal with, that you could really have fun with and really be involved. If you want to get involved in the school, there's many opportunities at LaSalle to get involved.
Everyone was just so friendly, and like I'm sure a lot of people said, it's small enough where you pretty much know everyone, but you don't know everyone, and it's big enough where you still meet new people and you still have that mystery about the school.
Myself, I'm in our jazz and pep band, and we played all the basketball games and football games. Most recently we went to the Atlantic 10 tournament and played for them. I work for the radio station. Me and some friends of mine do a radio show there, and I'm somewhat involved in management. And through all these different activities that LaSalle has to offer, you meet many interesting and high-quality people that it just enriches the entire quality of life here.
Come down to LaSalle, spend a day with us, spend the weekend with us. You can sit in on one of the ISBT classes and get a hands-on experience of what ISBT is all about.
I'd like to welcome you to LaSalle University's ISBT program, that's Integrated Science, Business, and Technology. I'm excited to have this opportunity to tell you about our program and about the capabilities our students may offer your organizations. ISBT's multidisciplinary approach allows our students to focus on their strengths through our 3 concentrations: biotechnology, information and knowledge management, and energy and natural resources. If you'd like to learn more about ISBT, please don't hesitate to call me or email me. I look forward to hearing from you.